welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy. Today I'm going to be doing the history of my bookshelf challenge. I saw Gabby over at Gabby Reads do this challenge. I believe last week I watched the video and I was just so intrigued with it. I thought it was fun. I thought it would be a fun way to kind of look back at how long I've been reading and what I've been reading through the years. I just thought it would be fun to do. The original challenge came from Emma's books, I believe. I'll have her channel linked down below, and as well as Gabby's if you want to check Gabby's if you haven't already. Check those two videos out. I'll link those down below. It's a lot of questions. It's like 26 questions. I'll try to go through each one of them as fast as I can. When I was putting the book list together, it took me like forever to put this together because I just had to sit there and think. I haven't really documented my reading until 2014. I started listening to a lot of books on Audible, and so I have that documented on audible.com in my library, but anything before that I have no clue what I read. So I did my best, but I just went back to 2013. It says in the challenge you can go back as far as you want, but I just went ahead and I did 2013 because before that I can't really remember what I read. Question 1 is the oldest book on your bookshelf. It has to be Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I went through everything. I know nothing on my TBR came before this. I just could not think of anything else on my bookshelf other than this is the oldest one, because I don't remember being as much into reading before I got into the Harry Potter series. This goes way back at the beginning of 2000. Michael and I got married in the year 2000, and this was around 2001 or something like that. I know these books were published before then, but I was kind of late to the game. Yeah, I first saw the movie on HBO, so I was late to the game and I fell in love with the movie. I went out and bought like the first 3 books. I think those were the first, or maybe it was the first 4, because I have the first 4 in all paperback and then the rest are in hardback. So this was this is the copy that I read from. It's well loved. The pages are nice and yellowed. It's beautiful and I will cherish it forever. Question number 2, a book you read in 2013. And then it says adjust to however many years you'd like to go back. And this is just a guess because, like I said, I didn't really start documenting my reading until like 2014, I believe, which was according to Audible. Before that, I never wrote anything down. You know, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is this is when I started the House of Night series and Marked. I'll put the book up right here because I don't have a copy of Marked, but this is the House of Night series. I've talked about this a couple times on my channel. I know I mentioned it in my last video because I've been reading the House of Night Otherworld series. But yeah, I will have to say 2013 was the year that I started reading the House of Night series, and Marked is the first book. Question number 3 is a book you read in 2014. Of course, I read Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, read Big Little Lies. I actually don't have a copy of this book, but I did read it in 2014. I listened to it, and I also listened to this in 2014, but has since got me a copy. This is the year that I started I have it all written down, that's why I keep looking down. This is the year I started the Charlie Davidson series, and I've mentioned this also a couple times on my channel. This is the first book, First Grave on the Right. Love this series so much. Also, I'd like to mention, because I don't mention it too much on my channel, but I think I've mentioned it before, and this is the Time Bound series by it's either Risa Walker or Risa Walker. I'm not quite exactly sure how you pronounce her first name, but I fell in love with this series. I think I don't remember how many books, 3 or 4, and there's like some novellas in between there. This is a young adult and it has to do with time travel, and I fell in love with it. So I just wanted to mention it because it's an extraordinary book. If you're into YA and to like time travel kind of thing, this is a really good series. I highly recommend it. It's part of the Chronos File series. I'll link everything down below, so don't worry, I got you. Okay, question number 4, a book you read in 2015. I read The Girl on the Train in 2015 by Paula Hawkins. I discovered the Aurora Tea Garden Murder Mystery series by Charlene Harris. Love this series. This is the first book. This is Real Murders. This is also the year I discovered that I loved Nora Roberts, and I read The Witness. I'm sorry, I know they only say mention a book, but I just could not mention these books because to me they're just what popped in my head when the years popped up, or when I was scrolling through my Audible account. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to mention this book. I loved it. This is Life and Death by Stephanie Myers. This is the retelling of Twilight. Loved it. Question number 5, a book you read in 2016. 2016 was the year that I discovered male romances. The Thirds, of course. This is the first book, Hell and High Water by Charlie Cochet. Love this series, mentioned it many of times, but yeah, this is the book that got me into male romances, and I absolutely love it. I also read the Selection series. Now, this isn't the first book. This is like the third book. It's white, so it's not. There we go. Beautiful cover. This is The One by Kira Cass. I also read this series in 2016. I also read Cinder. This is from the Luna Chronicles series, I believe. I don't remember who it's by off the top of my head, but of course I'll have it linked down below and you probably know what I'm talking about, and it'll be on here when I put it up on the screen. But love this series. I liked it. The further the series got, the more I started to dislike everything because it was just going on and on, and I was kind of getting bored with everything that was happening in the series. So I just kind of like shut it down. I don't remember really where I stopped. Question number 6, a book you read in 2017. 2017 was the year of male romances. I read mostly male romances that whole year. As I was digging through my Audible and looking through my Nook, it was nothing but male romances. So I have listed some of my favorites. Of course, I did read him in 2017. I also started the Out of Uniform series by Annabeth Albert. I started with Off Base. This is the first book. I also read the Timing series by Mary Calmay, I believe is how you say her name. Love this series. I don't mention it very much on my channel, but I do love this series very much. I also read Just Drive by L.A. Witt. This is a whole series. I don't remember the name of the series. I just read this one book and I just never went on. I need to do that. That's something I need to look into. But I loved Just Drive. It's one of my favorite male romances. Also, a male romance series that I have not ever mentioned, and someone mentioned it in the comments of my last video, and it's Cage by Maris Black. This was a very good series. I enjoyed it, and I just wanted to mention it because someone brought it to my attention and I was like, oh yes, that was a good series. Question number 7, a book you read in 2018. In 2018, I started getting more serious with my reading. I believe this is the year I started putting a few little book reviews on my YouTube channel. If you go back, I believe I called it, I had a name for it, Beauty and the Bibliophile. Debbie and I came up with that, where I would do my makeup and talk about one of my current reads. So that was way before I discovered BookTube. I just wanted to talk about books because I had gotten into them a lot more and I just wanted to talk about it. So I turned on my camera one day while I was doing my makeup and I started talking about a book, and it kind of became a little thing. But anyway, a couple books that I know I read in 2018, Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman, don't know if I'm saying that correctly, and of course Simon versus the Homo Sapiens. These two were some of my favorite books of that year as far as male romances go. Also, my absolute favorite book of 2018 was The Woman in the Window. This is when I started getting more into mystery thrillers and psychological thrillers and things like that. I was definitely reading, starting to get more into it, but this one just kind of stayed with me, and then I absolutely loved it. Another series I want to mention, because I don't get to mention it a lot on my channel, is the Something Like Summer series. I'll put a picture of it here. It's just by Jay Bell. I love this series and I'm still not done with it. It has a lot of books and they're really long. The audios are super, super long. I highly recommend the audios. They're fantastic. And question number 8, a book you read in 2019. 2019 was pretty much the year I started my booktube channel, so I read a lot of books, but 2 are very memorable to me in that year, and that is We Contain Multitudes. I'll put a picture of it here. I think this is by Sarah Henstra. I loaned this book to Debbie because I told her, you have to read this book. It is beautiful. It is a YA sort of coming of age male type romance where one of the guys is, you know, definitely knows he's gay. He's out and proud about it. And then the other guy is your typical jock, where he feels something, but he's not sure how to act on it. And it gets very deep. A lot of trigger warnings for bullying, for sure. But it was just a beautiful YA male type romance. I enjoyed it immensely. And of course, my 2019 best book of the year is Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. Okay, now we kind of get into more of the deeper kind of questions. So question number 9 is a book you've read more than once. And the only one that comes to my mind, I know I've probably read something more than once, but the only thing I can think of that just first one that popped up in my mind was Hell and High Water by Charlie Cochet from the 3rd series. I've re-listened to this whole series so many times. Question number 10, a book you waited over a year to be published. Again, the top book that came to mind in this category is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Look at this book, y'all. I waited over a year for this book. I probably waited over a year for the last 3 books because they're all in hardback, and I remember going to Barnes & Nobles for especially Harry Potter events for when the book would come out. They would have events, and at midnight they would let you buy the book. It was so much fun. It was insane. It was like some of the best parts of my life that I remember. But yeah, this is the first book that came to mind. Question number 11. A book you read on vacation, away from home. I don't usually read on vacation because vacation, the last, like, I can't even go back and count, but we usually go to Disney once a year, and that's not a vacation that you can just sit and read. I guess you can just sit and read if you really want to, but there's so much to do in Disney. But I always read a book there and back. And 2 books kind of came to mind for this question. The most recent one being Swipe Right for Murder by Derek Millman. Love this book. I read the majority of it on the way back from Disney. I started it on the way there, finished it on the way home. Loved it so much. And then another book that I've never probably mentioned before is A Shade of Vampire by Bella Forrest. And I know there are like a ton of books in this series. I don't even know what the series is called, but I tried the second book and I did not like it. So I just stopped from there, but I loved this book. I just remember it. I read the whole thing on the way home from Disney one year. And like I said, I loved it. Question 12. A book you got from someplace special. Anything that's not your local bookstore or online retailer. And the only thing I have for that is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. This is the mass market paperback copy that my cousin gave me. She reached out to me one day and told me that she was enjoying my book talks while I was putting on my makeup so much, and I just thought that was so sweet of her to reach out to me like that. So she sent this to me. She figured I would love it, and she told me I could keep it. She didn't need it back, and I was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. So that just kind of warmed my heart. I just love the gesture so much, and I just thought it was so thoughtful of her to do that for me. But yeah, I read this and I did like it. Of course, I didn't like it as much as Gone Girl, but it was good. It's very messed up. Y'all have books like everywhere. This is gonna be crazy to put back together. Question number 13. A book that made you cry. Several books have made me cry, but the only one that really pops up in my head, I guess because it's one of the most recent ones I read it last year in 2019, and that's Aristotle and Dante Discover the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sainz. I don't know how to say his name, I'm so sorry. I loved this book so much. I actually listened to it on Audible, and I had to have the hard copy once I finished, just because I loved it so much. But I just remember sobbing. Question number 14. A book you read in one sitting. I can't think of a book I read in one sitting, but I can tell you a book I read in one day. And this is going to take it back to 2017. I remember this so well because it was a moment in my life that I wasn't doing my best. I was feeling bad, having, you know, my usual stomach issues when the whole acid reflux got really bad. And that is, don't laugh. And of course, it's a male-male romance because that's just kind of what made me feel better. And this is Lickety Split by Damon Suede. This is very raunchy, but I enjoyed it immensely and I couldn't put it down. Like I said, I can't tell you I read it in one spot, but I know I carried it around with me. I have it on my Nook. I carried my Nook around with me everywhere I went that day. Whether it be in here, on my little reading area, whether I was in my bedroom laying down or on the sofa in the living room laying down, I read this book in one day just because I couldn't put it down. But I will, if you want to check it out for yourself, just a warning, it's a little bit raunchy. Question number 15, a book that was a gift. And the first one that comes to mind for that is Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. Debbie gave this to me during that time when I wasn't feeling well. It was actually during my birthday. It was actually, yeah, for my birthday. It was during the time that I wasn't feeling well in 2017, and she came over with like some flowers. She brought me a bundt cake and this book. Because I think we had talked about this book, or the movie was coming out. I must have mentioned that I wanted to read the book before I saw the movie. I still have not watched the movie. But yeah, she bought this book for me and I absolutely loved it. Question number 16. A book you read before owning. Something like from your library or borrowed from a friend. For that, I went with All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bren Greenwood. Well, as you know, I've gushed about this book so much lately. I loved it so much. It's sort of like a forbidden kind of romance. Debbie let me borrow it because she told me, she's like, you are going to love this book. So I borrowed her copy, and since then I was like, I have to have my own. So I saw that it was on Book of the Month, so I picked it up, and I'm so glad I did. It's a beautiful copy. Question number 17, a book you lent to someone else. I pretty much just lend my books to Debbie. She's the only one I really trust. I did lend one to my mom once, but she brought it right back. She was like, I'm just not a reader. I'm like, okay, it's fine, no worries. But Debbie has a few right now, but I couldn't remember, except maybe We Contain Multitudes. I know she has that one, but I did let her borrow Then She Was Gone, and she loved it. Question number 18, a book that has been damaged. I don't really have a lot of books on my shelf that are damaged, but I do have a couple that I've bought from like library sales, and of course from Book Outlet, that may be slightly damaged, but they're still in really good shape. But the only one that really like kind of looked banged up, this is The Stranger by Harlan Coben. I got this at a library sale, and the bottom, the dust jacket is torn, but the book is also torn at the bottom of this one, and it's just all raggedy I mean, it was a library book, so no telling how many people have read this. But this is one book out of the stack so far that I have not read yet. Question number 19, a book you got on sale or discounted. Again, I'm gonna go with one of my library sale books, and I chose Still Alice by Lisa Geneva. Can you see that? The cover is white and it just has like blue lettering on it. I have not read this book either yet, but I hear good things about it. I believe there's a movie out as well. Question number 20. A book you read with someone else, a buddy read or read with a book club. I mean, I've read a couple books. I've been reading along with the Literally Dead book club, but you've all seen those books. The recent one being You Are Not Alone by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. But one book for sure that I read along with, me and Debbie read it at around the same time, was The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. I just remember we got it around the same time. I think I might have started it and finished it before her, but she started, she was reading it at pretty much at the same time I was. Question number 21. A book you associate with a song. This was hard because I don't usually associate my books with anything, but the first thing that popped into my mind was just the whole Twilight series, because I remember Paramore did a song for one of the soundtracks. I don't remember which soundtrack it was, but every time now that I hear Paramore, I think of Twilight. So there you go. Question number 22. A book you associate with a food. Again, don't really associate my books with anything, but this isn't the first book, but this is part of a Booktown Mysteries. This is not the killing type. This is the first book that I have like actively on my shelf. I don't have the whole collection yet. The first book is Murder is Binding. And this is just a cozy mystery, and it's one of my favorite cozy mysteries. But in this book, our main character is Trisha, and she owns like a little bookstore called Haven't Got a Clue. Her sister is a cook, and she owns like a little place you can eat in Booktown area, or wherever they're at. I think it's called Stoneham. It's like Booktown. Who would not? I would love to live in a place called Booktown. But Angelica was always cooking up something. Trisha was always going to Angelica's. She would have their martinis ready to go while she was cooking them something to eat. And her recipes are in the back of the books. So that's the first thing that popped into my mind. I can't tell you a particular food, but all the recipes that Angelica does or mentions in the book. Not really one food, but just food in general. I think of the Booktown Mysteries. Question number 23. A book you got years ago that you probably wouldn't buy now. I would have to say, and don't come after me, but it's just not anything that I'm interested in reading now. Now, I will watch a Lifetime movie for days, but and that's kind of what this reminds me of. But I'm going with like Nicholas Sparks type books, and this is The Notebook. As much as I enjoyed it, reading it like back in the day, I can't tell you like when I bought this, but it's not something that I'm gonna pick up anymore. It's just not what I'm into anymore. Like I said, I will watch a Lifetime movie, which is what this reminds me of, but I just don't pick up the books anymore. Question number 24. A book you associate with a specific time in your life. For that, I'm gonna go with Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer. I have a lot of Twilight books in this little history of your bookshelf challenge, and this associates with a specific time in my life because this came out in like 2007, and this is the prime time Michael and I were trying to get pregnant. We were going through fertility, and it was really rough. I got very, very sick. Hence, we could not continue with the fertility. That's a whole nother story, but it was a time in my life that's just kind of stamped, and I just remember it so well because of the struggles that we went through. And at the time, I was reading the Twilight series, and I believe at the time I was reading Eclipse. I just remember this was something that could kind of get me out of what was happening in my life. I could just kind of dive into Bella and Edward's world. Question number 25. A book you used to like but don't anymore. That's kind of hard. I was going through my unhauled books that I have not been able to donate yet, and the only ones I can really come up with is like this one, The Spurged Off Blondes by Plum Sykes. I have another book by her as well. It's kind of like a chick lit kind of book where it's really just about the girl. It doesn't really have any romance in it or anything like that. It's just like the drama of her life stages that she's going through. I don't know. I can't even like describe it, but I'm just not really interested in that anymore. And I remember reading, but I gave it away a long time ago. But I just remember I used to like those type of books as well. This kind of like goes back to the Nicholas Sparks kind of thing. I just liked reading about girls and their friendship with other women, or women and their friendship with other women. That's just what I read. It's not something that I pick up anymore. And the last question, question number 26, the newest book on your shelf. For this, we're gonna do an unboxing because this is the most recent book on my shelf. So here it is. I know what I have in here. I just have not opened it yet. I thought I would open it for y'all, in front of y'all. I was gonna save this for maybe the end of the month if I had any, but I have not bought any books at all this month. So I don't know if I'm gonna have a May book haul. Who knows, we shall see. But I thought I'd include my book of the month unboxing in this video. Now this time around, I became a BFF in the book of the month club, which means that after basically a year of purchasing books from book of the month, but you have to actively be purchasing a book every month. If you skip a book, then you skip your chance, you know what I'm saying? It's like you have to buy 12 books in order to become BFF. So I got a bag, a little tote bag, along with like a bookmark, and it says, this is what the bookmark looks like. Book of the month, BFF. And on the back it says that brand new BFF feeling. Hi new BFF, thanks for being you and a top book of the month member. You're helping us in our mission to support new and emerging authors, and we couldn't do it without you. How cute is that? I love it. And you also got a tote. So this is what the tote looks like. It's got a little pocket in the front. It's very like heavy duty. It's very like nice canvas in here, and it's got a little zipper pocket. Very nice. And it's got book of the month on the back. Super cute. So my book of the month pick was The Knockout Queen by Ruthie Thorpe. I've never read anything from this author. First off, the cover got me, and the description got me as well. This is, I believe, a young adult, a dazzling and darkly comic novel of love, violence, and friendship in the California suburbs. Bunny towers over her classmates. Even as she dreams of standing out and competing in the Olympics, she is desperate to fit in, to seem normal, and to get a boyfriend, all while hiding her father's alcoholism. At home and at school, Michael pretends to be straight, but at night he tries to understand himself by meeting men online for anonymous encounters that both thrill and scare him. So it just sounded really good and deep, and I'm looking really forward to it. I know Debbie's reading it right now, and I don't think she's very much into it. Who knows? We'll see. I might like it, even though she's not that into it. But I'm excited to read it. And the cover, the dust jacket, is so pretty. Let's see what the actual hardcover looks like. It's got its book of the month emblem on it. I love book of the month copies. They're just so pretty. It's a short little book too, so I'm looking forward to it. So that is my book of the month for April. No, May. Did I say April? This was for May. I'm so sorry. Yes, this is my book of the month for May. And of course, if you want to join book of the month, I have my referral link down below. If you want to check it out for yourself, I think your first book, or I think your first book is $9.99, and then after that, it is $14.99 a month, and any additional book is only $9.99. It's still a great way to get your books, especially new upcoming books. You can even get these books before they actually come out. And I mean, $15 is pretty much half the price if you would go and buy this book just off the shelf, because these are all new releases. And anything after that you want to add on to your book of the month is $9.99 after that. And I think you're allowed like 2 add-ons per month, so you can get up to 3 books a month. But yeah, I'll have my link down below if you want to check that out. And this is not sponsored by any means. I just genuinely love book of the month. Okay, y'all, that is it. I will do my best to put these books that I mentioned in this video down below in the description box. But anything else you're looking for, my social medias, book of the month, my Amazon wish list, anything you want, other videos to watch will be down there in the description box below. Thank y'all so much for sticking around and watching this video for today. I had so much fun putting it together and just taking a little look back at all of my books throughout the years. Hope y'all are all still doing well, staying safe, hugs all around, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye y'all. This is the chaos of what happens after my video, and this is what happened while I was looking for all my books. This is my bookshelf of all the books that I have read, and it's getting overcrowded. Hence why everything is on the floor, because I had to pull stuff off of the shelf to get to the actual bookshelf itself. So one day I'll get me another bookshelf. And then we have a little Bella, all curled up, taking a nap. Hey, sweet girl. Oh, he's tired. Okay.